Okay. So we'll continue with the visualizations that we had finished. So we had seen the visualizations till the funnel chart. We will continue from the next set of charts. Okay. So the next one is scatter chart. Yeah. Now, what is scatter chart used for is to compare two measures within each other and then find out the outliers from a particular dimension. When I say outlier, let's see an example so that we can understand it. Let's say I need to compare gross sales by discounts. Okay. So what happens here is for this scatter chart, your X and Y axis both are measured. Yeah. So if you see X-axis has the gross sales and Y-axis has discounts. Yeah. Now let's say I have segment the details. So if you see, I have the 5 segments here. The name are not visible, so let's enable the name. Just category label. Okay. So now if you see mid-market and channel partners, they have similar kind of discounts and the gross sales is also similar. Yeah. If you see here, as the discount increases, the sales also is increasing. That's what we come to know here. Now, if you see at small business, its discounts is somewhat near to government. Yeah, so if you see, it's between 3 million to 4 million that these both lies, right? But there's a difference between the cross sales. So it is below 50 million for the small business and it's above 50 million for the government. Yeah. So what we can say is that these two are the outliers, that these two bubbles doesn't come near to these three, right? So like this, if you want to find out which is the uh, category or which is the product that has a different kind of two measures and the range of it. Yeah. That is how you can find the outliers. Like here, you can easily see that small business and government, it has high amount of discounts as well as high gross sales as well. Yeah, there's a small difference between the two segments that are there, but that is also identical. Yeah, so like this, if you want to find out the outliers between the two measures that are compared, you can use scatter chart. Yeah. Now, let's say I use display axis. So I use date field into display axis. So now what can I do is that from the beginning of time, that is the earliest date that you have in your table, from there you can see how the trend was. Yeah. So when you hit the play button, it would go on analyzing the data from the earliest month to the latest month. Yeah. So in order to have this kind of analysis, you can configure a dimension into the play axis. Yeah. So using the date dimension in the play axis makes sense so that we can analyze the data from the earliest date to the latest date of the data. Yeah. So this is how it will give you the results. That is why scatter chart is used. Yeah. Any questions? Anyone for the scatter chart?
No, sir.
Okay. After scatter chart, we have the pie charts, right? Now, what are the pie charts used for is for majorly for the percentage distribution. Yeah, so that you come to know which value from the dimension has the higher amount or the lesser amount, right? So to configure it is very simple. You have the pie chart. Let's say I need to show total of units sold by segment. Yeah. So like this, I can show it. Now, if you see the labels, they are giving us two informations. One is the actual value, the total of units sold, and then it is also giving me the percentage distribution. Yeah. Now, the way it is shown, you can change that using our format options. So you can go to the format. You have this detail labels. In the detail labels, you have label style. Yeah. So by default, it gives you the label style of data value and the percent of total, right? You can change that and say, I just need the percent of total, for example. So only percentage distribution will be displayed. If you just need the data values, you can do that. Yeah. Let's say I don't want the legend for this pie chart. And instead of legend, I will use the category and data value as the labels. Like this. If I say I need all, then I can say all detail labels. Yes, it will give you the name, value, and the percentage distribution. Okay. Similar to pie chart, we have the uh, donut chart, right? It's one and the same, just a bit of visualization property difference, right? Like it looks like a donut, the earlier one was like a pie. So this is the only difference between the two. When do we use pie charts or donut charts? If we are showing the percentage distribution by any category or any dimension. Yeah. In that case, you can go ahead and use the pie chart. Yeah. Similar to pie chart, we have tree map. Yeah. What is tree map? If I click on this, you'll see the same thing distributed by the size based on the measure that you have used. Yeah. Now here I cannot see the value, so I will also enable that data label. Yeah. So now you'll see higher the value, larger would be the box, and then it would go on reducing. Yeah. That's called a tree map. Okay. Rest of the formatting options remains the same. There's no change. Yeah. Okay. Then is the map visual. Yeah, now when do we use this map visual? When we need to show some geographical data, then in that case, we use the map visualization. Yeah, so let's see an example. I'll use this map. Let's have the country dimension, and I have sales. Yeah, so now what does the map visualization do is based on your measure that you have used, if you have the lower sales, smaller would be the bubble. Larger bubble means higher sales. Yeah. So you can easily compare where my sales are performing good and where my sales are performing less. Yeah. If you see from the map, only Mexico is the country wherein you have very less amount of sales, right? So from this, we can make some decisions like, okay, I need to concentrate on sales to increase the sales in Mexico. Yeah. These kind of things. Okay. That's what map is used for. Yeah. Now you have the option to change the theme of the map. Yeah. Right now it is Arial. If you want to change it, you can go to the format. You have this map styles. Change it to Arial if required. Yeah. You can have that dark theme as well, light theme. You have grayscale. Yeah. By default, it is set to road. Yeah. Then in the same thing, map styles, you have the show labels option. What are these labels? The ocean name, the region or the country name that you see, yeah, that can be turned off and only the pointers would be visible clearly. So if I turn it off, you'll see there's no labels for the maps. Yeah. Now what I can do is I can go ahead and enable the category label so that it shows the country. Yeah. But by default, it is disabled. The category label is disabled, and we have the label for the complete globe, for the complete map. Okay. Yeah, you have map controls as well. So right now auto zoom is enabled. What is auto zoom? Let me show you. So uh, let's say I have a slicer for a country. Yeah. If I select Germany, what will happen? You see that the map shifts its vision to the area that is selected. Okay. If I select this, yeah, again, this would auto zoom itself, right? So if you want to disable that so that the map should not move from here to there, just turn it off. Now you'll see the map doesn't move, it only shows the filtered data. Okay, that is what auto zoom is. Yeah. Then you have zoom buttons. So right now, if I scroll, I can, now I'm using the mouse scroll, okay? So I can zoom in and zoom out, yeah? But what if I need to give the users a plus and minus button here? So I can just enable it. Yeah, they can zoom in, zoom out from here. Yeah, this is a new option added. So let's see what is lasso button. Okay, what is this lasso button? You can select an area with this, right? So if you see, if I want to select this area, I'll be able to do it. Yeah. So if you want to select an area, the area select option is available using the lasso button. For that, you need to enable the lasso button here. Yeah. Okay. Then you have the bubble size. If you increase the bubble size accordingly, the proportional size will increase. Okay. That's how it is done. Yeah. That's what map visual is. Yeah. To configure the map visual, you need to have a geographical dimension, or at least you need to have the latitude and longitude fields coming from your table. Yeah. So that you can plot the region-wise data or the geographical data accurately. Okay. Now, after the map visual, we have the field map. Yeah. It's similar to the map visual. The only difference is that instead of bubbles, it will fill the complete area where you have the data with a certain color. Okay, so instead of bubbles, it will fill the data with the color. That's why it is called as filled map. Yeah. So if you see, if you compare it with the normal map visual, there I was able to read the data very clearly, but not here. Why? It has just used a one uniform color and apply it to the complete area. So I will not be that much sure that which country is giving me less sales or higher sales, less numbers or higher numbers, something like that. Yeah. So use the best way to use the map is using the map visual instead of the field map. Yeah, as I said, if you compare the both of the visuals, you will find that field map has very less capabilities as compared to the map visual. Okay. Now, after this, we come to the set of KPI cards. Yeah, what are KPI cards? They are the key performance indicator. Like if you want to show some total of sales or average of units sold or something like that, then we go ahead and use the KPI cards. Yeah. The first one from that is gauge. Yeah. Now gauge visual can be used to show a measure. Let's say I need to show the total of sales. Yeah. And this can be shown against the target. Yeah. Let's say I use gross sales as the target. Yeah. So what I can do is I can compare the two values and come up to a conclusion. Okay. That my target was 127 million, but I am yet to complete that because I'm still 118 million. Yeah. So if you want to compare the values against the target field, you will be able to use gauge in an efficient way. Yeah, because it gives us the correct picture of the comparison. And let's say it crosses this line, then we come to know that our actual value is above the given target. Yeah? So if you have to show the values like this, right, then you can go ahead and use gauge visual. Yeah, so gauge visual mostly is used to show the comparison between the actual or target or actual or budget or actual versus forecast, something like this. Okay, so for that reason, gauge visual is important. Yeah? And the representation is like this, like a gauge, right? Okay. Next one is the most important card visual, which is commonly used. Yeah. In each report, you may be able to see at least one card visual. Yeah. So the first one in this is the card, the normal card visual. Yeah. Now the card visual has the property to show only one value at a time. Yeah. When you say one value at a time means, let's say I have cross sales. So it will show me total of cross sales. This will be filtered by the selection that you make. For example, I select enterprise. So it will give me the results for enterprise only. Yeah. If I select small business, it will give me the total of gross sales, which is related to small business only. Yeah. And how this is happening, how it is getting interacted, because the interaction is by default on when you have the visuals coming from the same table or a related table. Okay, so let's say the value that is there in this card visual was coming from another table, which has no relation with the current visualizations that is there in the page. Then it won't filter. Yeah, why it is getting filtered or interacted? Because you have used the fields coming from the same table in these visualization. Okay, and that feature is called as interactions. Okay. Let's say I select it from here as well. I could filter. If I select a country, it would give me the sales for that particular country. Yeah. So all the visuals interact within each other. Yeah. That is what we come to know. And this gives us the filtered results as required. Yeah. So as I was talking about one value in the card visual, why I said that is because you cannot show multiple lines in a card visual. It can only populate one value at a time. Yeah. So if you are using a measure and you need to show something else instead of total. Yeah. So instead of sum, you need to show the average. What you can do, right click on it. So right click on it and you will find the summarization available. So if I wanted to show the average of sales, I can do that easily. Yeah, I want to show the minimum or maximum or the distinct count of the rows or just the count. Yeah, I can do that as well. Yeah. But by default, it is set to sum. Okay. So if you see only one value at a time can be visible in the card visualization. Yeah. So what happens is mostly card visual is used to display the numbers, right? So that we can display the total. Yeah. Imagine you have to use a dimension. It's a discount band, right? So here, as the card visual has the property to show only one value at a time, right? It shows the alphabetically coming first, right? And if you select a discount band, let's say in this slicer I had discount bands, then it would show the related one. Yeah. If I deselect it, it will show the high discount band like that. Right. So as we know, the card visual only displays one value at a time. Using a dimension is not that good idea in a card visual. Yeah. But in some cases wherein you have to show the title, we use text. in the card visual. Yeah. So what we can do is we can alternate the text. Yeah. So we can write some DAX function to handle that so that when nothing is selected from the slicer, it would show something else. The text would be something else. But if you select the values from the slicer, it would then show the same thing. Yeah. So we will learn in our data modeling topics how to create that text measure. Yeah. As of now, to know that this is the property of this card visual will be enough. Yeah. Now, if you see below, it shows first discount band. Yeah. So if you want to change that label, you can rename this. Yeah. And say discount band. Yeah. If you don't want this label to be available, only the value should be seen. So you can go to format, disable the category label. Yeah. You can configure the data label. You can reduce the size of the text, you can change the font. Yeah, all that default options are available for the card visual as well. Yeah. Well, after the card visual, we have KPI. Sorry, we have multi-row card. Yeah. So the capability of card and multi-row card is different. Yeah. So as I said, card visual only displays one value at a time. Your multi-row card can display multiple rows. For example, I have costs. Yeah, I need to show the cost distributed by products. So I can do that as well. Yeah, so multi-row cards, you can go on adding the distribution and it would show you the results. Yeah, so I need the average of cost, for example. So it will show me average of cost. Okay, now this will again get filtered by the selection that you make. For example, government. Yeah, you see the numbers change. If I select a discount band, see the numbers also changes. Yeah. So this is what multi-row card is. Okay. As compared to the card visual, multi-row card is helpful whenever you have to show multiple data, but in card visualization. Okay. That's what multi-row card is. Now the next one is an interesting one, which is called as KPI card. Yeah, which is the last one in our KPIs list. Yeah. So what is a KPI card? Yeah. Now KPI card will be used when you have to again compare the results with the target or the budget or the forecast, and then return the results in a conditional formatting. Like if it meets the target, we need to say that it should have green color font, and if it doesn't meet the target, it should have red color font, for example. Yeah, so this can be achieved with two simple steps, and the KPI card is ready. Yeah, so the first thing is KPI card won't show the total at any given point. Yeah, it shows the latest value from the data. Okay, understand this for the KPI visual. It won't show the total of a particular measure. Yeah, any given time it won't show total. Yeah, um, it will only show the latest one. Yeah, so if you see right now it is blank, even though I have the discount band, right? So what I need is, let's say I need to show the gross sales. It needs a trend axis. So mostly trend axis can be date field. Yeah. So now if you see my gross sales is actually 127 million that we just saw, right? But it is showing 12.51 million. This 12.51 million is the gross sales for the month of December. Yeah. So why this visualization was showing blank? So it needs two fields compulsorily. One is the value, that is the indicator, and the other is the trend axis, that is a dimension. Yeah, so that it can display the latest value for that particular trend. Yeah, so using date field is the most appropriate one if you are using a card KPI card visual to show the latest value. Okay, now the conditional formatting that I was talking about, if it is above the target, then it shows in green. If it is below the target, it should turn red. Yeah. So let's say here sales is my target goals. So if I configure it here, you can see my goal was 12 million. That is my sales was 12 million and my gross sales is 12.5 million. So that means it is higher than the goal. That's why it is green. Yeah. Let's say I'll configure this card to say that lower is good. That means if the value doesn't reach the target, then it is considered as good. Okay. So what I can do is if I have to change the logic here, I'll go to color coding and here the direction would be low is good. So it would turn it in red. Yeah. It is not compulsory that you always show it in green and red. You can configure the colors from the direction here. Yeah, so for bad color means if it doesn't reach the goal or if it is above the goal in this example, the current example, then you can change the color of your choice. Yeah, so similar to the other three. So you can change the color and then come up with the comparison for the targets. Okay. Then you have the goals. If you don't want the goal name and the difference to be visible, just turn it off. Okay. You can also turn the distance off. Yeah, so it doesn't show the comparison percentage. Okay. And the distance. Yeah, so if I turn it on, this is how it would display the data. Yeah. Clear till here, everyone? Any questions? No questions. Okay. Let's look at the last visualization for today. Yeah, which is the slicer visual. Now, what is a slicer? We already saw that we can have a list kind of a view here, and I can select a value and it would filter the complete page, right? So if I select something here on page 3, it is not that it will filter page 2 and page 1. Yeah, we will learn how to do that soon, that how to sync the slicer selection across all pages or across any one or two page which you select. Okay, so there is a property called as sync slicers. Okay, we'll learn once we are done with the slicer visual. Okay, so now we come to know the slicer visual interacts with the other dimensions or with the other visuals, yeah, in the page. Now let's talk about the view of slicers. So this view that you can see is called as list view. Yeah, you can change that to drop down. You can click on this top right corner icon and you can change this to drop down. And this is how it would look like. And then you can go ahead, select and show it like this. Yeah, if I need to clear the selection, I will click on this eraser button. Yeah. Let me restore it to list. Yeah, when it is showing as list, I can convert this to look like as if it is some buttons. Yeah, how I can do that is change the view of the slicers to list, then go to format, general. You have this orientation. Yeah, change that to horizontal. And you will see now it looks like buttons. Okay, so I don't need the title anymore for this slicer headers. I'll turn it off. So these are the 4 values. Yeah, you can use it like this. Yeah, now if I go click on medium, this is the data that I was able to see. Yeah, so only single click works in the slicer. So you can just click on the value and it would filter everything related to that discount rate. Yeah, so we also learned today how to convert a slicer visual to look like if it is as if it is a button. Yeah, now this was one capability of the slicers wherein you can change turn the values into buttons to look like a button. Yeah, next one for the slicer is that we saw how a dimension behaves. right? So discount band was a dimension. What if I have a measure as a slicer? You may think we don't need measure logically as a slicer, but sometimes let's say the end user has to see the data for a certain range of amount. Yeah. Then what they can do? They can go ahead and use this slicer when you will use the measure. Yeah. For example, I use units sold in the slicer. Yeah. So I was talking about it gives us the range, yeah, the minimum and the maximum value. Then you can use this slider, yeah, to filter the data for a specific range that you are looking for. Yeah. How did this appear by default is that Power BI detected that we are using a measure in a slicer, and this would be the best option to show the data or to apply the filters. Yeah. Apart from this, if you click on this drop down now, you have list and drop down, which was already there for the dimensions. But apart from that, you have the option of between, which we already saw. Yeah. Then we have the option of less than or equal to, yeah, like this. And similarly, we have greater than or equal to. Yeah. For example, I say I need to view the data wherever the unit sold is above 1000 or 1500. For example, I can write it down here like this, and it would give me the results. Yeah. That is the use of slicer with a measure. Yeah. Now let's say I have the date dimension in the slicer. Yeah. So for date dimensions, again, you have the similar kind of an option that is on or after. For example, you can call it like this, after. And if this is enabled and this is disabled, you can say before. Yeah. So what if I say that I need to view the data after November 2013? So it will filter the dates. Yeah. Similarly, if I change this to before, yeah. So I can say I need to see the data before May 2014, for example. So the complete page would be filtered for that. I can also use between. Yeah. So I can configure the start and the end date so that I can view the data for that particular range. Yeah. So these are the self-explanatory one. Now we saw between, before, after, list, and drop down. We have something interesting called as relative date. What is relative date? If you click on it, you get three sections. Okay. So here, let's say few of the reports you may have to show it as last month, yeah, or current month, for example. So the complete report page should be filtered for current month or last month, and that should be dynamic. What do I mean by dynamics? Today we are in June 2022. Yeah. So if I have to filter the current month, I will say June 2022. Yeah. But instead of that, what I can do is I can use this relative filter. I can say instead of last, I will say this, and I can select month. Yeah. So when I say this month, you can see the range here. 1st June 2022 till 30th June. That means the current date would be current month would be selected by default, and it is dynamic, right? Like when you move to July, it will change its range to July. Yeah. So when you have to apply filters on a page based on the relative dates, then you can use relative date filter. Yeah. Let's say I need to show previous month only. Yeah. So I can do last. I can configure how many months I need to show. Yeah. Or how many year or week or day. Yeah. Now I need to select months. If you see in the drop down, when I have last, I have 2 months selection. Yeah. So what are these selections? Okay. So if you select the normal months, what it does is it goes back 30 days. That's why this is the range, right? So from 14th May 2022, it is showing you the results till 13th June 2022. Yeah, like this. Okay. But if you select the calendar month, what it would show is it will show the complete May month, because for the current month, last month or the previous month was May, right? That is the difference between the selections available here. Same goes for year. Okay. So if you select last 1 year, it will start from today and go back 365 days and then show you the range. Yeah. You can have last one calendar year, which will show you 2021 and then the results for that. Yeah. Similar to last, you also have this, which is for the current day, current year, current month. So you can see current year is 2022. You also have next. Yeah. So if you want to show the next year's data, which would be again a dynamic filter, or let's say next 1 month. Yeah. So for July, if you want to view the data, you can have the slicer selection like this. Yeah. So relative date is very important when you are trying to show something related to the dates, which should change dynamically in the slicer. Then use the relative date. Okay. Because with the rest of the types of slicers, you can only select a static value at a time, right? Relative date is a dynamic slicer. Okay. Similar to relative date, you also have relative time. Like if I need to show the last 1 hour, yeah, or let's say last 12 hours of data. So it will show me the last 12 hours. Okay, that is what relative time is. Yeah. Any questions for the slicer visual? No questions? Okay. All right. Now, let's say I have this slicer visual here. Yeah. What I need is when I select a month, let's say I selected October. Yeah. Now, once I select the month and if I go to page 2, I need that filter selection to be in sync. That means when I change something in the slicer in page 3, that should affect page 2 and page 1 together. Yeah. In order to do that, what you can do is select the slicer. Okay. Go to view, enable the sync slicers. Okay. Enable the sync size slicers after selecting the visual. Now, if you see here, we have two sections. One is sync, the other is visibility, right? So visibility is on. That means this visual is visible in page 3. If you want to make it visible in page 2 and page 3, I can just click on it. Yeah, let's ignore this for a while. So I displayed the slicer in all the 3 pages. Yeah, you can see that the date is there. Yeah, let me delete this. Okay, but if I select here, let's say January 2014, and if I go to page 2, you'll see the sync is not there. It is still showing October 2013. If I go to page 3, again, it's showing October 2013. So let's say here, when I select a month, yeah, I need the other 2 pages also to select the same month dynamically. Yeah, so for that reason, we have this sync. So I will say like this. Yeah. So I selected March 2014 here. Now if I go to page 2, March 2014, page 1, March 2014. Let's say in page 1 I selected February. What will happen to page 2? Again, it would be February. For page 3 as well, it would be February. Yeah. So like this, you can sync the slicer selection across the pages that you need. Yeah. For that, you have these 2 sections. Sync means it will be in sync with the other pages. Then you can also configure the visibility. Yeah. Clear till here, everyone? Yeah. We will stop here for today. It was a short session. I can continue with table and metrics, but it takes a longer time to complete. Yeah. So as we just have 10 minutes left, let's stop here for today. In next session, we will complete both of this visual, which are the utmost important visualization when we are creating a report. Yeah, so we'll understand the properties of it and we'll learn some advanced things in the table and metrics visual as well. Okay, so let's stop here. Any questions, anyone? No questions?
No.
Okay, so stop the recording.